Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have all of you guys here with me. Those of you that are here, those of you that will be coming here, and those of you that are watching long after it's been live. I appreciate you being a part of the family here. And if you're not already, please get subscribed if you're on YouTube, and check us out. We got lots of fun to give you. We got thousands of videos on YouTube that you could watch just to, catch up on what you missed. But I'm not here alone, folks. I actually have my first branch of my specific family tree. This is, of course, my firstborn, Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing?
Doing great, feeling good. Glad to be part of your specific family tree.
You certainly are. You were the first branch. You taught me a lot. Patience, nurturing, and that stuff that molds our character. You brought that into my life, so thank you so much. And and you taught me how to how to stand up.
I'm sure that heavy word is doing some heavy lifting in that sentence.
Oh, yeah, but no, I mean, you've always been a joy to me, my boy, and I'm glad you're here with me tonight as we dive into the Paranormal Portal. We've got a lot of fun on the plate tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, special thanks goes to our sponsor, and that is Cryptid Coin, ladies and gentlemen. Cryptid Coin is a newer cryptocurrency that has the paranormal cryptid research and investigation at its heart. And when you invest in this, you're actually investing in paranormal research and investigation. So check it out. It's, I think, personally, a fantastic opportunity. I'm not able to give you investment advice because Lord knows I know not a lot about investments. But I'm really excited about this one, and it's near and dear to my heart because of their investment in the cryptid research community. So check it out. You can find out more about Cryptid Coin at cryptidcoin.io. And just so you know, they're on Pancake Swap now, so that's another opportunity for you to get involved in the whole movement. But again, cryptidcoin.io is where you can learn so much more. So thank you to Cryptid Coin for sponsoring the Paranormal Portal. And Sheldon, are you ready for a 2-hour fun fest of the paranormal?
I'm always ready.
Good, because it's time. And you know what it's time for?
The news.
The news. You're absolutely right. It's like this isn't your first rodeo. I swear.
I know. It's crazy.
All right, let's get to the news, folks. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. We got a lot of news in waiting for you. Hopefully it's all good news. I try to keep things light and happy on the show. And of course, if you watch the regular news, there's a lot to be upset about. However, hopefully our news is not that type for you. Hopefully you walk away from this with a smile on your face and maybe learning something new. I'm just saying, it's not your normal news, and, hopefully you enjoy it. So let's get to the news. The first article up for bat here on the newscast of the Paranormal Portal is, and I'm moving it into position here so I can put it on frame for you. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. And the news article is Nick Pope is a pretty famous UFO researcher out of England. He used to work for the Ministry of Defense and handled UFO reports over there. But he's been pretty much a mainstay and staple face in the UFO community for quite some time. Very knowledgeable guy, and I've watched him on many shows. But he says ETs could disguise drones as birds or insects. Why did he say that? I mean, I'm pretty sure our military could disguise them as birds or insects. I'm pretty sure some universities have already done this.
Yeah, this isn't like
I don't know.
groundbreaking, especially for ETs.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably, disguise them as a zit. I mean, come on. These are extraterrestrials with, the capabilities of doing pretty amazing things. You hear that wave sound? Is that,
I do.
yeah.
It's like I'm in the ocean.
Oh, I know. Just let's use that as a good visualization until I get through this and can reconnect it. But he says they could be birds or insects. Yeah, I guess. Okay, let's check out what he said. Former Ministry of Defense UFO investigator has suggested that alien monitoring devices could be disguised as common animals. Again, I don't know what the merit of this is. But anyway, one of the most prominent figures in the field of UFO research, Nick Pope, famously worked for the British Ministry of Defense from 91 to 94, during which time he was tasked with investigating reports of unidentified flying objects to determine whether or not they posed a risk to national security. Speaking to the Mirror recently, Pope put forward the suggestion that if an advanced extraterrestrial race wanted to mirror our activities here on Earth without raising suspicion, all it would need to do is disguise its monitoring devices as common types of animals that nobody would look at twice. If aliens want to hack into control a living organism or construct a drone that's a perfect mimic, it would be best to choose something ordinary and ubiquitous, like a seagull or a housefly, he said. Something you wouldn't normally pay much attention to, perhaps. But all the time, it would be spying on us, recording everything, and sending information about us back to the alien homeworld. While the idea might sound far-fetched, not at all. I think it's actually probably being done regularly by some of our covert ops or whatever. It does at least have some merit. It's not unreasonable to imagine that an alien race may be able to perfectly replicate the appearance and behavior of birds. I don't get it. This is really not new. In fact, they can make it a germ, I'm sure. Good luck finding those.
Yeah.
For instance, especially given the level of technology that such a civilization may have access to. There are even examples of human-made robots designed to look and behave like insects. There you go. I mean, this is not news, really. The military and intelligence agencies have things that look like they come out of the science fiction movie or a James Bond film, said Pope. There are some real-life cues out there for sure. So just imagine what an alien could do.
I mean, wouldn't it be easier, more cost efficient anyway to disguise them as us and just interact with us?
Yeah, what I think they would do is just like some kind of quantum hacking, so they don't even need to send things down. They can just hack the quantum and pinpoint whatever they want to know about. I mean, really.
Actually, all they need to do is hack our internet and just download everything. There you go. You have all our history.
Well, I'm here to tell you, I just had a conversation just the other day, just in the kitchen. I was like, "What do you think about getting chickens?" I was kind of kidding, but I was just thinking, you use eggs, and what about having a chicken? And I come back to my computer in the studio, and guess what the YouTube gave me for an ad? It was a freaking hen house ad. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I think we're already plenty hacked. So anyway, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, it's not like I'm looking into farming or anything like that. So it's not like a common search item for me. And I only said it verbally. I didn't like search hen houses or something, but it was crazy. So I'm here to tell you, I think our technology is already way too advanced in some ways, or way too oppressive or invasive in that case. But at any rate, that's the first article on the newscast tonight. Let's get to the next one. And I don't think that was really news. I'm not sure. Maybe Nick Pope's just running out of material. It's like maybe he's just running out of stuff to talk about. So he's fishing. I don't know.
Scraping the bottom of that barrel. Got to get something.
I have no bone to pick with Nick Pope. I'm sure he's a brilliant guy and would be fascinating to talk to. In fact, I think I follow him on Facebook, but it's just a weird thing to say because obviously, they could make it a booger, and put it in your nose, and that's dumb. I know, but I'm just saying it's just I'm sure they're not limited to mimicking seagulls.
Even our technology is very young into nanotech, which is like.
Yeah.
How small is a cell or so?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. No doubt about it, folks. So I don't think that's really news, but it's the news I got for you. So you're welcome. You were today old when you heard all that. Just saying. All right, the next one up for grabs here on the show is mystery as headless penguins wash up on beaches in Australia. And this is weird. I don't know. Is there something that just eats penguin heads? Or is there something funky going on with people farming penguin heads? I don't know. Scientists have been left scratching their heads by this perplexing and disturbing phenomena. According to reports, dozens of beheaded penguins have been washing up along the beaches of Australia, with 20 appearing on beaches in the Fluro Peninsula in April alone. A few theories have been put forward to explain the phenomena. However, it is generally believed that humans are not responsible because the deaths appear to be happening far out at sea. Stephen Hedges, a volunteer at Flinders University, has been collecting the bodies of the birds in an attempt to get to the bottom of the mystery. We normally have 1 or 2 per month washing up on the beaches, but already this month, I've collected between 15 and 20 and sometimes 3 in a day, he said. There is evidence in some of the photographs I've taken of a fairly clean chop, but looking at an animal and thinking this is a very clean chop is not the same as scientists determining a cause. As things stand, exactly who or what is doing this to the penguins continues to remain a total mystery. So maybe it's a delicacy to some creatures out there.
so
Like,
weird.
yeah, the bodies are all fatty, but the heads are good. I don't know. Penguin heads. You got to feel bad for the penguins, of course. That's got to suck. But maybe I don't know. It's just a really strange thing. What would just behead a penguin? It's not like.
I mean, my first thought was like the blades of some boats or ships, but I mean, 3 a day, that's a lot.
Yeah, somebody must be like, they must be swimming in the shipping lanes or something. Yeah, that's a good point, though. That's actually not a bad take, to be honest with you. I don't know if penguins like go in herds. Do they like there are tons of them, and the headless ones make it all the way to shore, but the other ones sink? Who knows? And maybe the other ones that are just chopped up just get eaten and stuff, but the headless ones, I don't know, maybe they just sit on the surface and bob or something. I don't know. That's a great take, actually. I got to give you credit for that. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, good.
Well done.
I can be a genius sometimes.
You're always a genius. You're a bright, intelligent person. So that's a weird thing. Maybe you're right though. Maybe it is just as mundane as just a boat. But
It could be. It could be.
It could be. Let's go to the next article and see what else is in our bucket of fun for the newscast tonight. And this is an article from Unexplained Mysteries, and this one's kind of another take on the Homo floresiensis, I think, coming out of Indonesia. But let's see what it says. I think they're looking at the Orang Pendek or the Ibugogo over there. But it says, is an ancient human ancestor hiding in Indonesia? It says a controversial new book that the hobbit-like Homo floresiensis may not have actually gone extinct. And this is something that I've been hearing about for quite a while, is that people have been seeing these diminutive hair-covered creatures over there for quite a while. Evidence of the mysterious hobbits of Flores Island in Indonesia was first unearthed in a cave back in 2003, a discovery that would go on to become topic of much controversy and debate. Named Homo floresiensis, I'm mispronouncing the hell out of it, but anyway, these pint-sized hominids are now believed to be a previously undiscovered specimen of human which died out somewhere around 60,000 years ago. However, not everyone is convinced. According to retired anthropologist Gregory Forth, the University of Alberta, these real-life hobbits may not have gone extinct at all and could still be living on the island of Flores today. In particular, he cites reports of ape-man sightings from people on the island as potential evidence that these long-lost human ancestors may still be thriving out there. We simply don't know when this species became extinct, or indeed, I dare say, we don't even know if it is extinct, he told Live Science. So there is some possibility that it is still alive. Not everyone in the scientific community agrees with this theory, of course not. However, some, like paleoanthropologist John Hawkes, have emphasized the fact that the island has a population of some 2 million people. The idea that an entire community of prehistoric hominids could continue to survive there undiscovered, therefore, seems far-fetched to say the least. Realistically, the idea that there's a large primate that is unobserved on the island and surviving in a population that can sustain itself is pretty close to zero, he said. I don't know. I think he overestimates people. And I don't know what kind of technology. I don't know about the island of Flores. So I don't know if there's large cities there or not, but it might be just a whole lot of small villages and communities. And, you know, they're pretty much active during the day and pretty much asleep at night. So if the Homo floresiensis or whatever is active at night, much like we believe Bigfoot to be, why is that hard to believe? That they probably have learned that they can't be around people, that bad things happen. So they are just very adept at avoiding people. And if they're small, that makes it extra easy, even on an island, I would think. So that's kind of curious. There is at least merit. There are still reports coming out of Indonesia regularly in some villages of people seeing some little diminutive hair-covered creature. And it's not just the orangutans of Sumatra or whatever, and other versions that have been found in Indonesia, but they appear to be little people that are all hair covered, like little Bigfoot. So whether or not that's true, I guess it stands to reason. If reports are still coming in, then they're seeing something. So take it or leave it, folks. But that's the update from new research or new inquiry going on with the Homo floresiensis, or Floresiensis, or Floresiensis. I don't know. I'm going to keep brutalizing that.
You did your best. It's okay.
I think I did about every version I can think of to try to say that. So one of them might be right.
One of them's right. Yeah.
I'm just throwing, it's the whole thing. It's like the law of averages. If you keep trying, you'll spit out something right. I don't know. Eventually, it's the monkeys with typewriter producing Shakespeare, that kind of thing. Me pronouncing that word is about the same odds. But anyway, that's that article. Interesting. Let's get to the next one. We've got 8 minutes left. How are we going to do? I got more news than we got time for. So we'll just do a few more until we get close to the break, and then we'll go to the break. But this one is also from unexplained-mysteries.com. Great site. Please check them out. Support what they're doing over there. It's a brilliant, brilliant site. I love this site. I just love how they encapsulate these articles in usually bite-sized chunks. This one might be huge. Let me look. Wait for the computer. My computer's been doggy lately. I did a scan earlier and found there was some malware on here, and I think I got more cleaning to do, but I don't know. I guess even to the best of us, it sneaks in there. But let's keep going. Unexplained-mysteries.com. PhD astrophysicist recounts UFO sighting. So this is kind of cool because this is a PhD astrophysicist that actually saw a UFO. That's awesome. Ethan Siegel encountered something one night in New Mexico that would leave him perplexed for almost 2 decades. It can be easy to dismiss a lot of UFO sightings as stars, aircraft flares, drones, or other mundane things, but when the person reporting the sighting is a pilot, policeman, military serviceman, or scientist, we tend to take more notice of both what they saw and what they thought it was. In the recent article for Big Think, PhD astrophysicist Ethan Siegel described a UFO sighting that he has attempted to make sense of for years, but which continues to remain a complete mystery. It happened back in December 2006 when he and a friend were returning from a visit to Bandelier National Monument in New Mexico. They had been driving through a remote desert at dusk when Siegel spotted a glowing blue eclipse-shaped light, which started off stationary in the sky before slowly starting to move. As it got closer, it brightened, but never appeared to be anything other than a solid blue disk. And it seemed to pick up speed at an alarming rate, he wrote. It then sped off to the right, faster and further away from us, and after about 2 or 3 seconds of moving at what it was its top speed, the light simply went out. What's interesting about the sighting is how Siegel went about deconstructing what he saw while attempting to rule out various conventional explanations based on his own experiences. He ultimately concluded that he was able to find a definitive answer instead coming up with what he deemed to be a number of unlikely possibilities, including that of it being an alien in origin, That said, he also admits that the highest likelihood is that it was something mundane. When you can't explain what you yourself have seen, it's easy to let your imagination run wild, he wrote. That's kind of a disappointing ending.
Yeah, it is.
I
The
mean,
hell?
it was this big build. He watched it, he observed it, and it's like, yeah, it must have been my imagination. I don't know, folks. We almost had a shot there. We had a shot there to get another one on the team, but no, I don't know. He might still be on the fence, but do you want to be on paper when you're a PhD astrophysicist saying, "Yeah, I saw a UFO"? I think like Avi Loeb of what is it, Harvard? He's an astrophysicist over there, the one that was talking about Oumuamua being possibly alien technology. And he's been in the news a lot talking about the possibility of there being extraterrestrials around. He's kind of right out on Front Street about it. He's like, yeah, I think they're out there. There's a strong possibility this stuff is real. And, I guess this guy isn't quite ready to commit, or maybe he really doesn't know, and he's really not ready to admit it to himself. But at any rate, it's interesting all the same.
Indeed.
Okay, let's go to the next one. I think we got time for one more. Let's see if this is a good one. Oh, okay, this one I thought was kind of interesting. This has to do with parallel timelines. And again, from unexplained-mysteries.com, folks. Parallel timelines could make time travel possible. Interesting. How big is this? Yeah, and so it might. It might make it possible. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting article, I'm sure.
I see.
Yeah, once I saw those words, I was like, nope, that's not 4 minutes. That's not a 4-minute story right there. But it's interesting thought. Could they make it possible? Maybe. We'll leave it there, folks. That's so bad. Next is unexplainedmysteries.com. Nessie's sketch among Scotland's monster files. Look at that. For those of you on YouTube, you can see this. I guess I can put the link in TFR so they can see it as well.
Whoa.
And that's a sketch of the Loch Ness Monster was drawn in 1936, has been revealed as part of a cache of newly published files. Stories of a mysterious creature in the depths of Scotland's enigmatic Loch Ness have been told for centuries. And even to this day, sightings of the monsters continue to be reported. Or monsters, I don't know. Just want to make sure it wasn't really big, too. While records of most recent of the sightings are kept by the Loch Ness Monster Sightings Register, a lot of historical sightings of the creature, those dating back several decades, have either been lost or are locked away in archives where it is almost impossible to access them. Now, though, a cache of previously confidential files dubbed Scotland's Monster Files has been published for the first time by the National Museum of Scotland, revealing to the public a treasure trove of historical reports, articles, and sketches. One of the most interesting inclusion concerns a sighting of the monster in 1936 on the shores of Loch Ness near Drummondrochit. I don't know. I'm going to get demonetized on this, I'm pretty sure. But a village which lies on the northwestern side of the loch. The witness, a man from Galloway, drew a sketch of what he had seen. We'll see above. And something's not there, but it was quite staggering when I first saw the sketch. Ian H.J. Leister of the Royal Scottish Museum Department for Natural History later wrote, "My first reaction was that such a creature would explain a lot of the apparently odd descriptions of the Loch Ness Monster, and also such photographs as the three humps taken by Lachlan Stewart in 1951. The odd fleshy lobes hanging from the head have also been variously described by witnesses." So there's the weird humps, I guess, which look like they might be some kind of dorsal fin or something, or whatever they are. I don't know. But yeah, it would, I guess it does kind of look like that. Well, when you think of the water horse, wasn't that a movie, The Water Horse or something like that, where a kid has this little, I don't know, I guess a little mini Loch Ness Monster, and it grows into a big thing. It kind of resembles that.
Sounds
actually
familiar.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was like from the 90s or something. Yeah, it was quite a bit ago, but yeah, That is pretty curious. Could the Loch Ness Monster be out there? Well, we kind of think so. I kind of think so. People seen something that's not just eels, like that one study came up with. It's like, it's just eels. Okay, thank you very much.
Just a bunch of eels all in one spot.
I mean, nobody doubted there were eels in the loch. That was never in question. Oh, you found eel DNA? Wow, go figure. Because there's eels there? Yeah, everybody knew that. Thank you. But what they didn't find was any, genetic proof of some odd other creature. But unless they sampled the entire loch, I mean, like the entire thing, I don't think there's just, hordes of these Loch Ness monsters in the loch. There's like maybe a small group, and they just subsist. Oh, there's the break. We're going to go to the break, folks. Jeez, that came up quick. We'll be right back. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal in just a minute, or a couple minutes. We'll see you then. right, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we're back. I'm not sure. I just heard that perhaps the network isn't working. The network ain't working. So I'm not sure what's going on. But let me try reconnecting. That's weird. I don't know why that's happened, but there we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are back once again. So hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I'm not sure we have network problems or not. I heard there's some static over on TFR, but that could just be the brakes. The brakes may not be running correctly over there, but it sounds like the bumpers are there, so that means we're there. Hopefully it's all working okay. But at any rate, we'll just keep plugging away as always. But I'm waiting because I got a special announcement to make about tomorrow's show, but I just trying to firm that up just to make sure, but I haven't heard back yet.
Gemini says it's all still static, and it's been like this all week.
Oh, okay. Well, there are other broadcast avenues as well that it's broadcasting on. There is a iHeart stream that you can check out if you want to listen. You can go to iHeartRadio and check out Truth Frequency Radio. Search for Truth Frequency Radio, and you can find the stream there. Or you can go to TuneIn, TalkStream Live, and I think iTunes also has one as well. So there are some other options. If the main website isn't working, just check out some of those other streams. Apparently they are up, is what I understand. So at any rate, that's fantastic that there's other options. Anyway. So it says, Sky Coaster sounds way more than a flying fox. I'm not sure what Maggie's talking about. Anyway, just want to check. Yeah, I'll have to get back. I just got a message for another thing from our very own Mr. Longbeard, who's messaging me. Let me get back to him on the next break. But yeah, so, oh, Jesus. Man. It's just a funky day for technology, folks. I think it's just like, I mean, it's the portal. So you gotta understand, the portal is an enigma in itself as far as technology is concerned. Like sometimes things just don't work that should work, and things that shouldn't work suddenly do work. And I don't know. It's just an enigma of its own. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I want to do some shout outs. It looks like over in TFR, Lucky's there, as is Bam. As is Gemini. Gemini's kind of dancing in both worlds tonight. But on our YouTube, let me look at the participants list and see who's coming up on the list. If you want a shout out, you got to type something, because otherwise I won't know that you're here. I know people are here, but I won't have an active list of everyone here, unless you don't want to be shouted out. That's fine too. So far on the participants on YouTube, we have Gemini Moon is here. Ghost Magnet's here. Lava Time's here. Good to see you guys. Maggie M10. Jeffrey Dixon just popped in. Good to see you. Let's see. Matthew Learned. Outside the Matrix is here. Pam Wittes. Nice to meet you, Pam. That's a new name. I haven't seen you before, but thank you so much for checking out the show. Rachel Gets It Right is here. Rosemary Andrews. Nice. Another new name. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in and checking out the show. Ruger Ridge is here. Sugar Britches is here. Farms here. And the Fourth Color. Did someone else pop
and up? Outside the Matrix is here.
Outside the Matrix and Jokery is here. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. And, there's more here, but they're just kicking back, and that's fine. You don't have to get acknowledged if you don't want to. Yeah.
Also here.
Yeah, I said that one.
Oh, never mind. Okay. You got 2 shout-outs, Jokery.
Yay, break time at work. Oh, good. Well, welcome. I'm glad you were able to make at least some of the show, Jokery. Cool. All right. Ron the Sage just popped up. Hey, Ron. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Kirsten Leah came in. Good to see you as well. You guys are awesome. Awesome to see you guys. It's like every time I do a show, it's like this amazing homecoming. Like, oh, we're all together again. It's just this emotional embrace, isn't it, Sheldon?
It is every time.
Guess what I forgot to do?
Open up. I don't know.
Open up all the stories that I pulled up. So I'm just loading that up now. So how are you, Sheldon? Everything good in your world?
Oh, it's fantastic. Weather's getting better. Allergies are coming, so this time of year is just great. It's perfect.
Is your tongue in your cheek right now? I'm
Yeah,
just
you could say
saying.
that.
It sounds like it's in your cheek. Sorry to hear that. The allergies are rough. I know. I've been dealing with them as well. I'm a little better now. There was last show was Wednesday, and I was just a drippy mess. But that's what antihistamines are for. Or as
Yeah.
mom would say, what about Uncle Histamines? That's my mom. That's her.
She would say that.
Yep, she's listening right now. She's smiling. I can feel her smiling from here. She's like,
Oh,
oh,
Nina.
yep. She had all those punny things like that. It was like, oh, it's like, no, not that one. That one. I love my mom. She's so awesome. She's got a bunch of them. I don't know where she overpicked them all up from, but I heard those all growing up. I heard those all the time.
Means Uncle Histamines.
What about Uncle Histamines?
Uncle Decongestant.
Yeah. Or antiperspirant, Uncle Perspirant. You know, it's just, what the hell's wrong with this site? It was working earlier. I don't know. My internet is.
What is going on over there?
You know, Sheldon, I probably need a couch and about 2 hours of just talking to just get into it. But it's just one of those nights. Oh, there it finally came up. Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
This is why I pull things up well before the show usually, but I was a little remiss in my duties, and so it's kind of my fault. Now, I think I'll just start on this other article. Well, let's see. I'm waiting for. I got this tab farm, and so it's awesome, very awesome. But I'm waiting for the tab to open. The other one did open. I guess we can start there.
Sure.
Why is it starting on number 2? That's weird. It shouldn't, but it's not scrolling. Why isn't it scrolling? There it goes. Okay. These are twisted supernatural stories, and this is again one of those aggregate articles that are kind of they're not really from sites that are known for paranormal or supernatural stories or cryptids or whatever. But this one's from Money Made, and we've covered some of their other ones, and they're great aggregated articles from Reddit threads. And some of these, they do a great job. And this one is from April 28th of this year, and it was written by, it looks like Ratka. I don't know if that's a person's name or what, but anyway, they do a great job in these articles. So the first story on this list is starting out at number 2 for some reason. I don't know where number 1 went, but I guess it didn't make the cut. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh my God.
You get this for free. And now that I've explained my mom's humor, where this comes from.
Yeah.
That's where the apple didn't fall far from the tree. But anyway, the first one up is okay. Now this is a play on words, and I don't mean to offend anybody with language that sounds a little harsh, but it says, "I couldn't tucking believe it," is the name of this story. So it says, years ago, I fell asleep on my mom's living room sofa. She was already in bed, but my brother was out somewhere. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up to see someone standing over me and covering me with a blanket. It looked like a man wearing a bandana, and I assumed it was my brother, but thought it was strange that he'd be wearing that. The next morning, I asked him about it, and he said he didn't even come into the living room when he came home, and it wasn't him who covered me up. My mom also denied doing it, and no one else was in the house that night. I didn't find it creepy until a while later when one of my aunts stayed at my mom's house, and incredibly, she reported the same thing that happened to her. Apparently, a ghost in that house wanted to make sure people were tucked in when they fell asleep on the sofa. That was submitted by someone going by the moniker Body Counters. That's interesting. I mean, it's sweet and it's endearing that someone is a part of that house. And I can only assume it's a spiritual entity, right? But that they would take the time to, oh, you must be getting cold. Let's cover you up here. You know?
I mean, either that or it could be a watchful family spirit type of thing, like a grandmother,
sure, yeah,
distant relative, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But that stories like that it makes me feel good inside, knowing that, if that is the case, that, relatives stick around, that they watch over you, that they're there for you, if that is the case.
Right. Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. I don't ever remember being tucked in, so not by a ghost. I mean, my mom tucked me in, I'm sure, when I was little. I don't remember it so much, but I remember she probably did.
She probably
Did your mom?
Yeah.
No, I know she did. She was always very sweet that way. All right, number 3. What the hey is going on? These titles are pretty catchy.
Oh boy.
My mother-in-law was a very funny and cool woman. She and my wife were close, and sadly she passed when our son was about 4 months old. A few years later, I was bathing my son when he started looking over my shoulder, not at random stuff, but at something. A moment passed, and then he asked me a question that sent a chill through me. He asked why Grandma calls Mommy a funny name. I took a long pause and I asked what he meant, thinking he was talking about my mom. He asked, why does Grandma call Mommy, and then referenced my mother-in-law's nickname for my wife? I was taken aback. My wife and I never used that nickname. It was just what her mom had called her since she was a baby. I asked him where he heard that, and he replied, the farmer told me. I asked him who the farmer was, and he replied, his friend. Well, I told my wife this story later, and she was reduced to tears over the whole nickname thing. We both know there was no way for him to know this, and we marveled at it. The following weekend, my son was playing in his room. My wife was at work, and I was at home. I heard him start talking like he was having a conversation. Immediately, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I went into his room and asked him what he was doing, and he said playing. I asked with who, and he said the farmer. At that point, I was already thinking about The Exorcist and Captain Howdy. I don't know who Captain Howdy is, but I know The Exorcist. It was unsettling, and I asked him where the farmer was, and he said he left when I came in. Well, I told my wife when she got home, and she was just as weirded out as I was. We have no idea what to do, and figured if it happened again, we would do something. A few days later, in the middle of the night, we both overheard our son say, Grandma says you and I can't be friends anymore. My wife and I went to check on him, and he was just sitting up in bed. And I asked if he was okay, and he said, yeah, Grandma says I can't play with the farmer anymore. And he never once mentioned the farmer again. Not ever. That was by Tucker48. That is incredible. And again, it's always a leap of faith whenever, you pick up any article. You have to decide, am I going to take these as at face value, or am I going to not? And I don't think there's any reason not to believe that this could be legit, because it doesn't go way outside the bounds of thousands of other, ghostly encounters I've heard of through the years, especially with children. Children just seem to, be able to really see and experience these presences on a profoundly personal level. Like, they don't have to get into a trance or train for years. They're just wide open, these kids. And so they can have dialogue as if they're talking to anyone else, living in the world. It's just, they're capable of that openness for some incredible reason. And it's actually a tragedy that we lose that, because I think it would be amazing to be able to just, be able to interact on a very personal level with spirits, and maybe disturbing too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very envious of many psychics that, claim that they can do that. And I believe there are many out there that can, but just imagine what you could learn, but for some reason those things fade with time. And it could be just life, the noise of life. Like, kids don't have all of the distractions that adults have or older people have. They're wide open. Everything is new and interesting and unique. But, we tend to not see stuff and not hear stuff after a while. Like, moving into a beautiful town. Like, I live in a beautiful area of the north of Idaho. And sometimes I forget to realize how beautiful it is. Like, you just start going to do your thing. And maybe that's kind of a metaphor for the, the way that our eyes kind of close to these amazing things that we were once capable of. The other idea is that it's something with puberty, the changes in the physical body and the, emotional states and biochemical changes kind of close those doors maybe. I don't know. It's up to you to figure that out, but it's very, very interesting. And if anybody wants to contribute to the discussion, of course, you can call in. The phone number is pinned to the top of the chat in YouTube. So if you look up there, you'll see the call-in number. But if any of you don't want to call in, but you want to contribute, then by all means, just, do an at Paranormal Portal or at Sheldon and state what you want to say, and we'll cover it here on the show as we go. But what a profound story, huh?
Yeah. So what do you think, assuming obviously that this is true and is honest, what do you think is happening here with the grandma saying you can't play with this other entity, the farmer? What do you think that is? Or what that means?
I think it suggests that the farmer isn't probably a spirit that's passed on. He's probably someone that's stuck for whatever reason. And so the grandmother doesn't feel comfortable. Like he's maybe it sounds like the grandmother transitioned and is maybe coming back to keep an eye on what's going on here, but maybe the farmer's an earthbound spirit for some reason, or it's not even a farmer. It just looks like a farmer to this kid, but it could be any different thing. Who knows? I really believe in spiritual sense, I don't think there's just ghosts and that's it. Like, oh, these people used to be alive, but now they're dead and now they're ghosts, and that's what ghosts are. I think there's many things that exist in this spiritual state that were never human, but they sometimes mimic humans. So maybe it's something like that. Like it was some kind of weird entity trying to move in on this kid and start to cause problems.
Both valid, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a guess, but that's what my guess would be, that the grandmother spirit didn't like the farmer at all. So no more friend. Yeah. So, and again, that's another. Then the other takeaway of that is that when people are dealing with really bad hauntings or uncomfortable hauntings, a lot of times you can just claim your ground. Like, no, you need to leave. You need to get out of this house. You don't belong here. And by this kid doing that, I mean, the kid is basically claiming his space in the same way. Like, we can't be friends. And so that's the kid just going, nope, and blocking that spirit. And that's I don't think it's just a verbal statement, but like there's got to be a spiritual response when we make statements like that. Like, we feel the walls close, but maybe there is really a shield that develops between us and another energy, whether it's another person or spirit or whatever. When you cast someone out of your life, it's like even like a relationship. You have these. I've got a bunch of them, but you have these experiences where you have these connections in the closeness, and then something goes south, and it's like boom, and you have that wall, and suddenly that passionate response that you used to have in your heart is just gone. I mean, it's just stopped, and so maybe it's very similar. That it's probably like a light form of very, very light form of exorcism. Like you're saying, get out. That's enough. Stop, and I don't know, just kind of interesting to me, but take of it what you will. Indeed. Let's go to the next one. And this is a sibling spooky story. It said, when my son was about 6 months old, I dreamed I was at my grandparents' house with him. My grandfather held my son and cried while I talked to my grandmother, and I told her that I wish she and my grandfather were still alive to see my son. And she said, don't worry, we see him. I didn't think anything else of it until about 5 years later. I was talking to my sister and mentioned that I had a dream about our grandparents, and she said, was Papa Joe holding your son while he rocked in his chair, and did Grandma tell you they were watching you? I said yes, and asked how she knew, and she said, I had the same dream when my son was about 6 months old. It still creeps me out to this day, but it also makes me happy. That's by Admiral John. And I don't know, I guess, I suppose if you're not someone that readily embraces this stuff, sure, it would be unnerving. But I think it's so beautiful. Don't you, Sheldon?
I do. In some cases, it can be kind of concerning when, people in the same family have similar dreams like that. Like in the case of you and I having that same dream.
Oh,
but. Yeah. But in this case, like this is a positive case. Right. So yeah, that I would prefer to have it like a beautiful dream like that than what we got.
Right. No, I agree. And Oliver as well had that same dream.
Yeah.
So three of us have had the same Same tormenting experience in our sleep when we were younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very weird. But that, yeah, and that is a different case altogether, though.
Yeah.
I don't think they're
Yeah.
really, so comparable, but yeah, you're right. That's the downside, I guess. But yeah, absolutely. So number 5, Scottish Tales. When I was in high school, a group of friends and I did an archaeological dig of a Roman fort in South Shields, UK. Wow, that'd be cool. I'd never been
Mm.
out of the US, so we took the train up to Edinburgh for some sightseeing. We were really enjoying ourselves until the evening when we went out for drinks. As we were walking back to our hotel, a group of 2 women and 1 man approached us. For whatever reason, I was overcome with anxiety as they got closer. A small dark feeling formed in my stomach. I saw that they were 3 of the most beautiful and arrogant looking people I had ever seen. They had bright blue eyes, perfect hair, perfectly fitted all black clothing. Everyone in my group noticed. They came up to us and inquired as to what we were doing. We stood there awkwardly. Someone mentioned that we were headed to London the following day. One of the women looked at us and said that we must avoid the tube and buses and that it would be best to get out of the country ASAP. We were all extremely creeped out by this point, but made it to our hotel. The following morning, we took an early flight back to London. We took a cab to our hotel, and that was the day of the London tube bombings. 6 years later, I was visiting my girlfriend who was getting her degree at the University of Edinburgh, and we were at some pub, and I saw the woman and man who had talked to me half a decade before. Even though I looked completely different, she approached me and said that I was right to have taken her advice. It was the single most spine-chilling event of my life, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. Wow.
Whoa. What happened next, though?
Yeah, well, that was it. I mean,
Come on.
there was nothing next. I mean, they were warned by this uptight-looking person, and that's really profound. I wonder if
Oh.
obviously the woman looked the same as he remembered, so much so, and he, even though he had changed quite a bit from that time, that person looked the same. So the question is, what is that person?
Time traveler, guardian, spirit type of thing? What
Yeah.
is going on here?
Right, I don't know. That's a question. That was by Boozing Cactus, which might explain something, but yeah, that's quite weird. Really, that's quite weird. Hey, I've been told that sounds like Nicolas Cage.
What? Oh, yeah.
I
It kind of does, yeah.
it's supposed to be my Thurston Howell the Third from Gilligan's Island, but that's interesting. I guess I got a Nicolas Cage impression. That's kind of cute. It's kind of humorous. Here's another one. A mother knows. You know everything. Just ask my mom. My mom was epileptic and had a seizure in her sleep. It ended horrifically. She got wrapped up in her blankets and suffocated herself. Oh my God, that's horrible. The paramedics were able to get her breathing again and loaded her into an ambulance. Oh, good. Okay. I was tasked with calling family to let them, I guess, know. They forgot that no part, but my mother was in the hospital. The first and most important phone call I had to make was to my grandmother, her mother. Before I had a chance to grab the phone and call, the phone rang. It was my grandmother calling. This would have been about 5:30 in the morning, but about 2:30 in the morning in her time zone. She wanted to tell us she had seen my mom bathed in golden light and claimed they had talked. She told me that she was gone, but headed to a better place now. At that point, I didn't know my mother was going to pass from the injuries her brain had sustained that night. My father was at the hospital with her, and he didn't know she wasn't going to make it either. The doctors didn't even yet know she was brain dead. But somehow my grandmother knew and contacted me. It was incredibly spooky. That was by the Danish one.
See, that makes me think that when you're brain dead, it is like a sign of I don't know, your spirit separating from your body or something. Because I've heard these stories that
Mm-hmm.
of this situation where they're brain dead and the spirit visits a relative or them.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's like what the connection is to your soul and your body.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess so. It definitely seems to be, definitely seems to be the case. That's such a tragic story, though. Just to have a seizure in your sleep and you end up smothering yourself in the blankets. Wow. Well, I guess maybe it's a gentle passing. I don't know. But it sounded like, being bathed in golden light. It wasn't, everything sounds like it went well for that person when they transitioned, but wow. All right.
Yeah.
The next one is number 7, Little Oracle Annie. For a few months after college, I lived with my mom's friend Annie. I was up late watching TV after everyone else was in bed, and Annie walked into the living room, half asleep. I said, "What's going on, Annie?" And she said, "Break time." Okay, we're going to go to break. Sorry about that. 2 breaks in a row. I really messed her up good. But anyway, we'll be right back after these messages.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. Finished with my silence. I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness. Just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise. You're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity. Just make sure that you're well fed. Yeah.
Buttons. So sorry about that. We're just waiting on the network. I apologize, but I think the static we're hearing now is probably that poltergeist intro that I put together for the second hour. And so instead of hearing that, we're hearing this noise. And once that's done, I guess hopefully this will all make sense. Sorry, I'm just not on my game tonight. I don't know, man. I'm just all over the map. But I've run into 2 breaks now, so I'm like, So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are apparently back now. I don't know. I've managed to run headfirst into 2 breaks tonight, so it's been an adventure of putting together a show or doing a show. My words aren't even working right. Jesus. I need a vacation. I told you guys. Remember, next week, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and the following Wednesday, there won't be a live show. So it'll be about a week and a half of no live shows here on YouTube or on TFR as well. So for the Paranormal Portal anyway. So check out the archives, hang out. Now I will be live streaming from time to time, but you'll learn more about that when it happens. So if you're on YouTube and you want to catch these live streams when they're happening, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell because you'll get notifications. I have no idea what kind of schedule of streaming I'm going to do, but I'll do as many as I can to keep you guys plugged into what's going on. But anyway, what the hell else was I going to tell you? Well, I was waiting for verification, but ladies and gentlemen, as it stands right now, I'm going to have a special co-host with me tomorrow night here on the show. And this is one that I'm really excited about. I love having Don and Sheldon with me all the time. It's been amazing and fun. But this is a brand new co-host to the show. And it should be a really fun time. Of course, I'm speaking of Mr. Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles. He's going to co-host the Paranormal Portal tonight, or tomorrow night, rather, with me. And so I hope you guys will tune in with Wes and I doing that. I got to do something about this freaking waterfall.
It's so loud. It's getting louder, I feel like.
I feel like it needs to be removed. There we go. Oh, look, it's all nice and quiet. So again, tomorrow night, here on the Paranormal Portal, I will be joined by Mr. Wes Germer, who will be co-hosting with me. So it should be a blast. I don't know. Wes is a lot of fun. And he's a great guy. He's a dear friend as well. But he's agreed to come on with me tomorrow night. So if you're familiar with Sasquatch Chronicles, then you know who I'm talking about. So Wes Germer will be on the show tomorrow night with me, and co-hosting, unless something falls through. But that's always possible. But as it stands now, that's what I'm expecting. So let's see.
We have a comment by Ghost Magnet 81 saying Pluto just went into retrograde.
What did? Pluto?
Pluto.
What the hell's Pluto doing in retrograde? There's always
Why
something.
is it always doing something?
Yeah. Well, it's not a planet. It shouldn't matter, whatever.
Yeah, true. It's not a planet, right?
It's not even a planet. Who cares what Pluto does? No. I don't know. I'll tell you, the Mercury retrogrades, which it seems like is in retrograde every other week, they tend to be a little challenging for me, and I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's, I don't know what that is. What does that mean if Pluto goes in retrograde? What kind of, I don't know anything about astrology, basically, so I'm not sure what retrogrades generally mean. Other than when Mercury goes into retrograde, I make sure that I got my tiger's eye on me, and so that seems to help smooth things.
Did it get demoted again? It went from planet to like a dwarf planet to is it a moon now? They just keep downgrading it.
Poor Pluto. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's a planet. It was a planet my whole life up until somebody started getting wise about it. It's not a planet. Whatever. It's a planet to me. I'm a Pluto supporter. That's all I got to say.
Yep. Pluto for president. That came out. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where it came from either. All right. So we were working on this article. Let's get back to it because it's pretty cool. I like these stories. They're pretty fascinating. Now, again, if you ever heard any of these other ones, sometimes they're repeats, and so I apologize for that. I can't screen. I mean, there's must be hundreds of parts to this article, so I'll do the best I can. But anyway, we started reading Little Oracle Annie, but we ran into the break, so let's start it again, just because I feel like we can represent it so much better. And it's Little Oracle Annie. Again, this is a Money Made article. It's Twisted Supernatural Experiences is the name of the article. Fantastic job so far. I really love these. They're a lot of fun. So for a few months after college, I lived with my mom's friend Annie. I was up late watching TV after everyone else was in bed, and Annie walked into the living room half asleep. And I said, "What's going on, Annie?" And she said, "My grandmother just called." Well, nobody had called. She insisted, however, that she had just talked to her grandmother. She said her grandmother called her to tell her goodbye, and now she wanted to call her family to check on her. I told her, "It was just a dream. Don't bother your family in the middle of the night. Go back to bed and call in the morning." Well, she went back to bed. I was just getting into bed about an hour later when the phone rang, for real this time. It was her family calling to tell her that her grandmother had passed about an hour before. The next day, Annie didn't remember any of it, and we never spoke of it. Then, about a decade later, Annie died unexpectedly. I went to her funeral, and her brother delivered a eulogy. In it, he told a story about when Annie was 4 years old and her great-grandmother had passed. The entire family was gathered in the house, and somebody noticed that little Annie disappeared. After a brief search, they found her in a bedroom, rolling on the floor laughing, and they asked her, "What on earth are you laughing about, Annie?" And little Annie replied, "Great-grandma was tickling me. She came to tell me goodbye." This girl, man, I don't know, that's a weird ending. This girl, man. Okay, so that was by Hoodoo's 39. Yeah, I mean, some people get these kind of messages, I guess. They tend to be wide or open, I guess. Must be some psychic happening there, right, Sheldon?
I would think so.
Yeah, cool story, though. It sounds like she had a lifetime of it, so very interesting. What do you think of stuff like that, Sheldon?
I think it's beautiful whenever there's stuff like that. Like, that's not negative, I should say.
Oh, yeah, no worries. All right, yep, I just got confirmation. Wes will be joining me tomorrow night, folks, so it's going to be just going to be a lot of fun. That'll be great.
Oh, yeah.
Here's one about the Ouija board, Sheldon. What do you think of Ouija boards, by the way? You and I don't think we've talked about it too much, have we?
Never play with them.
Never play with them? Okay. Yeah.
Unless you know what you're doing, which none of us do, so don't play with them.
None of us. That's not necessarily true, but I think the people that generally do play with them don't know what they're doing. Again, yeah. A lot of people, and I know I get redundant on the show, but I don't know, that we have new listeners all the time. So some people hear Ouija board and they're like, no, evil, whatever. And I think negative things can happen, but it's the thing with the Ouija board is that most people treat it like a game, but it is a methodology to create contact with the other side. Now, what I don't like about Ouija boards is that generally you're blindly reaching out to, "Does anybody there want to talk to us?" So instantly you're inviting any energy that happens to be present or within distance to hear this. And I don't know what that means in spiritual terms, but you get what I'm saying. And you kind of are asking for it if you're not aiming it properly. The other thing is that any kind of oracles like this, you have to use them correctly. Now, in a lot of esoteric and occult practices, there's specific methodologies that people follow in order to do specific things. You don't just sit down, lower the lights and sit down and go, okay, let's dig in. There's a lot of training that usually goes with this in those circles. And, people don't just blindly do these things. They know how to set their environment. They know how to protect themselves. They know how to protect the surroundings. They know how to basically ward against dark and ugly things. And they also know how to close it. You don't close off communication by dragging a piece of plastic over goodbye. I mean, that's figuratively, I guess it could have some effect in, in most, maybe in some cases, but if something is not good, it's not going to care where you put that plastic. It's going to be like, nope, I'm here. You called me. Now I'm your problem. So don't open a portal you don't know how to close is my advice. And if you don't
For
know,
all we know,
if you don't know, then, then don't play with it. So
yeah.
what were you going to say? For all we know, what?
Well, just as far as we know, that Ouija board could be its anchoring point into your space type of thing too, without closing it properly.
I think it becomes that. I think it becomes an attachment of sorts, whether it attaches to the actual board or to you. Now, the other part of a problem with the Ouija board is that you're a blind channel because you're saying, here, I'm touching the planchette, I'm directly connected to it, and I'm asking something to come through. So you're giving spirits permission, like, hey, come on through. I want to talk to you. And that is, I don't know. I mean, 99% of the time, it's probably nothing. Like I think that most people probably just convince themselves something's happening. But I do believe there are times when something really happens. And sometimes that's real dark and ugly and starts a whole lot of problems. So be careful is my advice. So let's see what the story says. When I was 14, I stayed overnight at a friend's house along with 3 others. We had all grown up together except for one. He was a cousin of the kid who lived there. We'd never met him before. His older sister, who was 16 at the time, was the babysitter while the parents were out for the evening. Well, she decided to unearth a Ouija board from a cupboard. Oh, no.
Yep.
Good fun, guys. So we all gathered around and started off with a kind of yes, no lie detector, directing questions at each of us in turn. We were giggling at first, and then things started to get strange. When the sister asked, "Is anybody there? Please show yourself," a framed picture fell off the wall. Naturally, we all freaked out. She calmed us down and insisted we go back to the board. We started asking questions like, "Are you in the room?" The pointer said yes. "Are you a man?" The pointer said no. We asked its name, and the pointer spelled out Sarah. We said, "Tell us a secret." The pointer spelled out flip a coin. So we did. As we watched it descend, it stopped spinning and serenely fell edge down to land on the table, perfectly balanced on its edge, as if someone had reached out and gently placed it there. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign, no. Breaking the silence, the pointer started moving again. What seemed like random letters turned out to be initials, including middle names of all of us there. Somehow, every person present had their initials correctly spelled out to them. The pointer paused and then spelled out 3 words. Children, stop now. It took me many, many weeks to be able to sleep properly. That was by Django Flugelhorn.
Oh, also we have some breaking news. Sasquatch Chronicles says that Brent owns a ton of stock in Hasbro, who makes the Ouija board. Full disclosure, that's why he sugarcoats the tool of the devil.
Damn it, Wes. Whose side are you on? Daddy needs some new shoes, brother. I currently don't, but yeah.
I wish. I wish you did.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so you can see that this is going to be tomorrow, right? This is a good set.
Yeah.
Number 9, The Piano Man. Who wrote that one, did I say? I got to give him credit. Oh, yeah, Django Flugelhorn. All right, The Piano Man is next. I did the sound work for a friend of mine who did all kinds of ghost things. I was going through the audio with him, and he heard something that sounded like a piano playing. I stuck it into the app, Goldwave, to clean it up. You could hear the piano fade in and out slowly, clear as day. But here's the thing. There's no piano in the house, no power in the house, and no access to radio. Not only that, but the closest neighbor was about a mile away, so we also didn't hear it during the time it was playing. So only the equipment picked it up. It gave me chills with zero explanation. There were several other unexplainable pictures and noises that we had picked up, but nothing to that magnitude. That was by Chucky_Z. Yeah, the disembodied sounds. I mean, it doesn't always have to be voices. It can be sounds. And I think sometimes that those are maybe potentially they're like maybe time slips. Like sometimes I think some spiritual experiences people have, especially in older places with historic history. Really, seriously, old
Nice.
places. I think that sometimes, again, like this, we may be the ghosts to them, that they may be the
Oh yeah.
ghosts to
Hmm.
us. Like it's just a dimensional thing, I think. But there seems to be some merit to that. And I know some other, some investigators believe that that could be the case. And I tell you, at one time, I was watching Taps years ago, and I think you can still find this clip online when you go look at their archives and stuff. But it was Ghost Hunters Taps, whatever. But it was Grant Wilson and Jason Hawes. They were in this place, and as I recall, it was kind of I think it was like a bar restaurant or something that was built, or maybe not. But anyway, I think the owner built it as kind of for his wife or whatever, and he died. But then she lived for quite a while after that. But then she passed, and they were investigating the place because a lot of stuff was going on. And the interesting thing was, they did an EVP session with a digital recorder, and they're sitting there talking, and it's really curious because they start asking questions like, and they said her name, "Are you here?" And the disembodied voice came through on the recorder. They didn't hear it with their ears, but the disembodied voice came through and said, "Yes, I'm here. Who are you? Where are you?" And they said, "We're sitting here on your bed. Are you able to see us?" "No, I don't see you." And so it was like her responses were like she was in her time, in her experience, but hearing these voices and not sure what the hell was going on. It wasn't like she was actively aware of them sitting there and she was this deceased person. It was like she was in her own timeline, but getting these questions somehow, whether, she was actually hearing it or whether it was more telepathic or something, who knows, but very, very interesting. And it was like, she wasn't aware that they were there, but she could hear them, and it freaked her out. And they seemed really surprised as well. But I don't know, that was the takeaway when I heard that interaction. It was like, I don't know, like a time echo of some kind or a time slip of some kind. Very interesting.
It actually would. I actually lean towards more of the dimensional thing too. Now that you say it, I don't know why it makes more sense to me. Like maybe parallel universes traveling along the same time, but somehow mirror into each other.
Sure.
Little echoes coming through here and there, maybe. But that's
Yeah.
I like the dimensional outlook more than like a linear time thing.
Well, there's a theory, and I don't know if it's some theory, and I heard it years ago, but I found it very interesting, and I think I'm saying the name right, but it's something called non-Euclidean space-time, and the idea is that every moment from the beginning of all things, like the Big Bang, up until the end of all things, like the final collapse of the universe, is happening in this one moment. This expansion and contraction and everything in between, the coming and going of civilizations, the birth and death of people, et cetera, is all happening in this moment. And that's the rationale of this, and that we all of these things are happening at the same time. And I don't know if it's our awareness that shifts through the different parts of this one moment, and we perceive that as time or whatever. But it certainly makes the idea of these kind of things happening seem like it has merit, because maybe if all time is existing in the same moment, then is it hard to believe that some other vibrational time or whatever the differential between it is, if it's a vibration, that it could somehow peek through every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty deep
Oh.
stuff, but
Yeah, it is.
I find that really fascinating.
We
So
got a few comments I want to read through.
please,
Gemini says, FYI, all of a sudden you guys have been kicked on live on TFR.
fantastic. Okay.
All right. And then Android Purity says, the full library of all their shows is on Discovery Plus.
Oh, cool.
I-
Very cool.
And Maggie says, my dad said that he saw a little boy ghost. He said he thought the little boy couldn't see or hear him at all, but the boy was looking at something in the room.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's wild. So it didn't even seem aware of him. And I wonder about that, as if that's also residual hauntings, where they seem like the same event playing over and over and doesn't seem to be aware of the people that are there watching it happen or experiencing it. That's more of a time echo kind of thing, rather than the other idea is that places, things record imprints, energetic imprints of people, and just sometimes repeat them. That's the idea behind residual hauntings. But if there was like all this one moment of things happening, they would just be that one echo of that one moment happening over and over, because it's still that moment in time. So I don't know. It gets really deep, and I have a hard time tracking it after a while, but it's fun to ponder that stuff, because the paranormal is such a passion for me. I really want to try to understand what's going on, because again, I think this stuff is there to demonstrate something about the nature of our reality. That's why it happens. Like, that might be the grand, bigger picture, is that this is just elements of reality and our world that we don't understand yet, but it's not really when things are broken or weird. It's just that it's new.
Yeah.
So
it's even crazy to think about how deep this stuff can go.
Oh yeah.
Like how far we don't understand it, type of thing.
Yep. Perhaps we're all just an idea in the mind of God.
True.
So, who knows? But anyway, number 10 is the next one. It says, Grandma was dearly missed. My grandmother had a giant window in her family room that looked out onto the backyard. It was a good-sized yard that backed up to the fields and a wooded area. The deer would make daily trips to her yard and hit the provided salt lick and take pears off the trees. My grandmother would sit in her chair and watch the deer. It would be uncommon to visit her and not see several deer walking through her yard. My grandmother got very odd and developed my grandmother got very old. Got very old and developed cancer that couldn't be treated. She went from her chair to lying on the couch, still able to enjoy the deer outside. Eventually, the decision was made to move her to hospice. My father, uncle, and sister were there that day. It was a very emotional process to take someone from their home of 60 years for the last time. Yeah, that's hard. As they were making the final trip through the house, they saw a magical sight. They went through the family room and saw 15 or 20 deer in the backyard. The deer were all sitting and looking at the house. Wow. They usually just wandered around for a few minutes and moved on, but they were all sitting there and stayed that way while my family stared back. I like to think that they came to say goodbye to a longtime friend. Wow, that's really powerful. That was by Salmonella. It's Sal and then Manella. Clever name. But that's interesting. Could nature be that aware? And possibly, I don't know. I'm sometimes
I would
surprised.
imagine so.
I mean, we covered a story on the news once of goldfish driving. Like, they rigged up these goldfish tanks where the goldfish could drive, and they drive all over the place. It's like, wow. So maybe there's a lot more going on in these animals than we believe, that there's this profound awareness, or maybe it's just something symbolic from another energy, just showing them,
That could be too. But I mean, animals are pretty in line with like the energy of nature and with instinct and all that. They can feel when natural disasters are coming, and they'll run from an area way before even we, with our vast technology, can even detect it.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
It's crazy.
That's a very good point as well. Yep, I agree. Crazy stuff. So number 11. So I don't know if I got time for this. We're down to a minute, so I'm actually gonna adhere to just taking it from there, and we'll pick it up on the other side. But I love these stories. I hope you all like these stories as well. But I think they're very interesting. Just different people experiencing this stuff, and I like that each one is a real bite-sized morsel. It's like a small little snippet. Sometimes I got a lot of questions that I would love to know the answer to, but we actually got a call too. It's been on there for 23 minutes. I'm sorry, caller, but just hold the line, and I'll get. Well, no, let me get to it. Hold on. All right, you're on the air. We're gonna go to break, so just hang on the line, and I'll be right back with you.
Street call. You're welcome.
Hold on, I'll get back to you after the break. And then there were waterfalls. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and Sheldon is here, as is our caller. Welcome to the show.
I said ghost or demons. Mystery solved. You're welcome.
Oh, you could be right. You could
Yeah.
be right.
I got a really, really cool idea for a show. It's top secret. Plus, the audience doesn't want to hear us
Oh,
figure out how to do a show in the middle of a show. Sheldon, are you going to be on there tomorrow night?
No, Wes is going to be on tomorrow night.
yeah. That's who's on the phone, Sheldon.
Oh, hi, Wes. Oh no. Hey, Wes.
You
I didn't know you. Sorry.
You
Hi.
didn't recognize my 14-year-old Swedish girl voice?
No, it didn't quite get that from the voice.
He's never been to Sweden.
No.
No, Sheldon, you got to come on, man. I got a really cool. We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
Nothing like a brainstorming session in the middle of the show, but I got a really cool idea, and I'll call you after the show, Brent. But Sheldon, you got to show up tomorrow night, man. That was part of the deal.
Well, if you want me on, I'll be there.
There
We
go.
could do the same show for the podcast, and if it crashes and burns on the Paranormal Podcast, at least we'll get a second try at it at the live show tonight or tomorrow night.
Sounds good.
It's like a dress rehearsal. Yeah, it sounds good, brother.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I don't want to hold up the show. Good talking with you, Sheldon, and good talking with you, Brent. Brent, I'll call you after the show.
Okay, man. We'll talk to you then.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Take care, Wes.
Sheldon.
Oh, I didn't hear who I didn't hear the bumper came in and I couldn't hear a thing. I didn't know who called. Oh no.
That's funny. No, I'm not going to be here. The Wes is going to be here. Like, this is Wes.
Right, well, I'll just save this video.
Clip that, will you?
Yeah, I'll clip it.
We'll use it on the Pieces channel. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we will.
tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wes Germer is going to be joining us here in the portal, and we'll have a good time with it for sure. So whatever we end up doing, I don't know what he's got in mind, but you can count on it being memorable. So I hope you guys are here with
Yeah.
us tomorrow night, again, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube and TFR Live. So we'll be bringing you all the entertainment we can pack into 2 hours then as well. Can you believe it's
Right.
already the home stretch of the show, the final run? Wow.
I never can. It always just kind of happens.
I just, I realize I say that every show, but I swear to God, it really surprises me how quickly this goes when we're doing this show. And all of you guys being here is amazing as well. But that's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. Good times.
Gigi has an idea for tomorrow.
What's that?
Toga night.
Oh, dear God. Yeah, I don't have a sheet big enough.
Yeah,
I need to get the king size sheets. I don't even have those yet. So no. But thanks for the suggestions. We do appreciate suggestions from all of you, our listening audience and viewing audience. So by all means, and remember, if any of you guys out there have experiences you want to share, to email me, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. But we've got some more show to bring you. Let's see. Should we stick with this article since it's been so cool?
I think so.
Okay, I think we will
Got some
too.
great stories on that.
I know. These are some really, really interesting, and it's such a grab bag because they're not all the same kind of thing. It's not all just the closet doors open and closed, over and over. It's so these different takes. So yeah, I think we'll just stick with it because it's been going so quickly, and these are really interesting. So I guess we'll move to number 11 on this article. It's from MoneyMade.com, folks. It's Twisted Supernatural Experiences article from MoneyMade.com. They did a hell of a job of aggregating this and pulling it together. So these are generally farmed from Reddit threads and stuff, but they are nonetheless interesting, and they're supposed to be real. They're not, it's not creepypasta, fiction fan writing and stuff. It's supposed to be real accounts. So take them or leave them. I'm not telling you they are all real, but they are represented as real. So, all right, let's go to number 11 on our list of fun here. And I have to do a better job watching the phone lines. Jeez. It's funny because I've got to reposition things where I can see that easier. Maybe get a monitor kind of.
Or Wes. He was waiting there for half an hour.
How did you? Did you?
He said, 23 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's, I know. I feel bad. But I do that all the time, and it's kind of humiliating. So let's move on. Let's just move on from that.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Number 11, skeletons in the closet. I'm the kind of guy who believes in what he sees / experiences. I don't believe in the paranormal. Okay, this should be good. But I can remember a few things that were unexplainable in my life. When I was young, around 2 to 3 years old, I was always sick and very quiet. My parents moved us from Alaska to Oregon so they could be closer to family to help raise me. We moved around a few times, renting old houses, and there was this one house we lived in that was old and had an insane landlord. The place had a bad vibe. My parents could feel it. My grandparents could feel it, and I could too. I told my parents there were skeletons in my closet watching me. When my grandma was alone with me, I told her, man with gun. That's a weird statement. That was all I said. We were close to the city, so it would not have been anything normal to see such a thing around the house. What? We were close to the city, so it would not have been anything normal to see such a thing around the house. I don't think anybody usually sees that stuff normally. But I never said anything about monsters, skeletons, or ghosts before or after that house. The weirdest part was, after about a month before we moved out, someone broke into our house but didn't touch or take anything. There was human excrement smeared in weird patterns around the house and walls. Oh, dear God.
Oh, what the heck?
Was that Amber Heard? Thank you.
Oh, no.
Did Amber Heard break in over there? Little poopy pillow for everybody? Yeah, it says, needless to say, we moved to a different house after that. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I would have Johnny Depp the hell up out of there. What the hell?
Oh, my God.
There's poop smeared all over the place. Oh, dear God. When does that get to be a good idea? How broken you got to be where that gets to be a good idea? It's like, yeah, I don't know. What should I do? I'm going to have a nice poop on the walls. That'd be fun.
Maggie says, do you mean Amber Turd?
Yeah, I guess we do. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Android. I appreciate that. But I mean, it is kind of timely that we're talking about poop in a house and, not in the toilet. All right. And that was by Hills MK Hills. I don't know, myth, something. Anyway, it's on the screen for those that are,
You did your best.
I don't know what to do with that name. Anyway, number 12. Advice from beyond. I had bad pneumonia and was not responding well to antibiotics the doctors were giving me, so I was being transported to a bigger hospital, and in the ambulance, I was choking, unable to breathe. The ambulance was jolting. I was short of breath, and the next thing I remembered was feeling a severe jolt that sent me out of my body. I had read stories by others in similar situations who reported seeing a tunnel and a light, but this was not what I experienced. It was just a jolt, a kick that threw me out of my body. I was looking at my body from the side, and I saw a medic trying to put a breathing mask on my face, and at first I thought that something had happened with my vision, and I panicked. I saw everything in 2D, like on a movie screen, and nearly black and white. I was 14 years old and in a state of panic. I thought of my mom, and in an instant I was looking at her. She was traveling together with my father and my uncle in a car, following the ambulance on the road to the city. I started talking to my mother, telling her that my eyes were not okay and I couldn't see well. She did not hear me. They continued to talk, cursing and lambasting the incompetent doctors at the local hospital, discussing how those doctors tried to coax them to sign some papers after the ambulance left, and how they refused to sign, and how they arranged for me to be admitted in the department led by an experienced and very competent doctor with a strange name. At that point, the gravity of the situation hit me. I finally realized that something weird had happened, that I shouldn't be in the car, and I panicked even more. I began to think of my friends at school and of the girl that I liked, and as soon as the thought of someone was really sharp enough in my mind, I instantly saw them as if I was standing next to the person at that very moment. Then the panic hit me even harder. I started jumping from place to place, my memory to memory, at an ever-increasing pace, and everything became a kaleidoscope of people and places. This jumping from place to place abruptly stopped when an old lady came. She was very old with snow-white hair. She took me by the hand and insisted that I look at her, and repeated several times that I should calm my mind so that the random jumping from place to place stops. Then she proceeded to explain that I was going to fall asleep, and when I wake up, I would be at the hospital. She told me that doctors would start giving me injections, and then some of them would be painful, but I shall be brave like a man and endure the pain, and that my condition was going to improve. She told me after 2 months the doctors will propose surgery. She then insisted several times that when I wake up, I must immediately tell my mom to refuse to sign the papers for the surgery and refuse to let them do the surgery. She told me that if they did the surgery, I wouldn't make it. She insisted again that I should explain this to my mom as soon as I wake up. She also told me that if I was a good boy and did as she told me to do, my uncle was going to bring me a lot of delicious chocolates to the hospital. Well, I woke up in the ER and told everything to my mom. When I saw her face, I knew. She was shocked by my detailed description of what they talked about in the car, which was completely accurate. I distinctly remember her eyes grew wide open when I told her the strange name of the doctor. She listened to my frenetic demands from her to refuse to sign the papers for the surgery. She did not understand what I was talking about, since at that moment no one was talking about any surgery. My mother told me that everything was going to be okay and there wasn't going to be any surgery, and generally tried to calm me down. I finally recovered 45 days later. X-rays showed one particular spot on my left lung that was refusing to heal. 2 months later, it was still there. Wouldn't you know it, the doctors proposed surgery to remove this spot. My mother resisted them initially, but as time passed, there were so many doctors insisting that the surgery must be done. My mother finally gave in to their pressure and signed the papers. However, this delayed the surgery by many weeks. When they did the final x-ray before the surgery to see how big the spot was, it was gone, and the planned surgery was canceled. My mother also told me how she watched, in disbelief, how my extremely stingy uncle was bringing me chocolate after chocolate in the hospital. That particular piece of my story was what convinced my mom to refuse to sign the surgery papers for so long, despite such intense pressure from the doctors. And there's nobody to give credit to for that, but wow, that's a pretty serious near-death experience.
Jeez.
What do you think of those, Sheldon?
I mean, I'm always amazed by those stories, the ones that are the near life or the what are they called, the
near death
where you near death experiences. Those stories when they have an out of body experience like that and are seeing everything in maybe a distorted way, sure, but how they can recount actual details that there's no way they should know.
Right. Yep.
I mean, those are the irrefutable proof stories if you take them as true.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's lots of stories like this where people have gone out of their body, watched as doctors and nurses did things to them as they looked at their body down below. One had I think it was a Game Boy or something like that, and he set it on the or something. There was some electronic device that the doctor put on a table, and it slid and fell off, and he couldn't find the batteries for it. And when the person came to, he said, well, the battery rolled over there. And the doctor looked, and sure enough, that's where the battery was. You know, I mean, those kind of things are very, very powerful and very profound, that people are able not only... And the interesting thing is that they're perceiving all of this. Like, it's not... Obviously, they don't have eyes in the traditional sense. Like, we have eyes that perceive the light and energy around us. But I guess we don't need those filters when we're in the spirit world. You know, we can see all of the energy as, you know, we are energy, right? I don't know.
That's what I would think. I mean, everything is energy anyway.
Right. Well, that's true. Everything boils down to energy. Oh my God.
Oh, what?
I saw the next story's headline and I misread the first word. I was like, what? But
I did too.
I was like, you can't read this on the show. Oh, God. It's the joke I don't even have to say, ladies and gentlemen. I saw that and I was like, what's from heaven?
Many jokes. So many jokes going to my head. Oh my God.
What's exactly from heaven? Oh, no. It's pennies from heaven, just for the record. Pennies from heaven, number 13. Every now and then, pennies are being thrown on the same spot in my living room. I've always been alone in the room when they're thrown. I'll be watching TV and hear them scatter on the ground and turn my gaze to see them spinning and rolling on the spot they fell. I have no pets. There are no tables. Holes in the ceiling, or pennies around where this happens. I can't explain it. They somehow materialize, and I've been saving them ever since it started. I wonder how many they saved. I mean, were we talking like 25 cents, or are we talking like $200? I mean, and why don't they do quarters? Let's go for quarters.
And why don't we have a spirit that does that, except with $100 bills?
Yeah, let's make it rain up in here. You know what I'm saying? But it's pennies from heaven. I guess that's symbolic, right?
It is.
It is. Yeah, very cool. That's an apport, ladies and gentlemen. Those are known as apport, APPORT, and that's when you a gift or an item is materialized by some unseen force, and it's a lot of times. Apports happen, and they're very unusual items that a person wouldn't have any understanding of where it could have come from. Like sometimes it's the old. I've heard stories way back of people like in the I don't know, like maybe in the 80s it took place where a person was getting these antique little figurine toys, like little toy soldiers, like the metal kind, from way back, just materialize and appear, and they had no idea where it came from. And it's very powerful to think that matter could be, I guess, teleported, for lack of a better term, or, well, it's apport, but I don't know where the term apport comes from. Maybe it's...
Haven't scientists done that, like making an atom literally teleport from one place to another, or they teleport it, but they don't know where it went, type of thing?
Yeah, they've done some things like that, and I think the problem is they don't know if it's the same atom or a new one that was put there, But apparently they've made an atom disappear and then appear somewhere at a short distance away. Like, I mean, we're talking like a small distance, but still, it's a very profound step. But I don't know. So if there was teleporters, would you do it? I mean, would you just be like, yeah, phase me up or beam me up?
Yeah, maybe in 1,000 years, but not like the first teleporter that gets made. Let's make sure those things are tested a little bit.
There's like a pile of Sheldon sausage on there. Oh no, that didn't go well.
Oh God, yeah.
There you go. Nice. I don't want to be the guy to test that one. Let's
no, yeah.
Let's start with apples or something. Very wild. But I guess maybe there'll be a day when that stuff will happen. Number 14, blowing in the wind. And again, getting back to that thought, I just had this thought as I was about to continue. It's like, well, what? Poo coin. Rachel, poo coin. I
yeah, right.
Sometimes wonder what's going on in my chat. Look down and see poo coin. What the hell?
Never flip a poo coin, heads or nor tails.
I miss so much just doing all this talking. I just sometimes watch these shows back and read the chats, and it's like, oh my God.
She's merging the two stories. It's a poo coin.
It's the Amber Turd collectible.
Oh no.
I don't know. What you get what you pay for here, folks. So if you want better quality, I better see some super chats, is all I'm saying.
Okay, guys, let's stop talking about poop, okay?
Yeah.
Stop.
I gotta admit that it's different. Usually I'll be like talking about ghosts and people are trading soup recipes. It's like, oh really? so glad I showed up. All right, blowing in the wind is next. And this, we're only gonna have time for a couple more, I guess. I lived in some really unsettling places, but there was this one event that stuck with me the more. I just had this thought of an Amber Heard action figure that
Oh no! Come on, stop.
I don't know. This is what, this is what goes on in my head, isn't it? It's not good sometimes. Oh, you think I'd be focusing on the story, but nope. No, now you guys got that going on in my head. Thank you very much, all of you. Appreciate it. This high quality entertainment here. Blowing in the wind. I lived in some really unsettling places, but there was this one event that stuck with me the most. I woke up and, as usual, I walked to the mirror to brush my teeth and fix my hair. I was in a relatively small place with a balcony and sink in the same room without any windows that could open. I looked in the mirror and saw one of my plants moving. There was no wind blowing against it. I turned around and walked over to the plant to check if the balcony door was closed, and it was. While walking back to the mirror, my eye fell on one of the pens lying on my desk. When I arrived at the mirror, I noticed that I noticed all these pen markings on my face. My heart stopped. I cleaned up and fled the room. When I came back, the door to the balcony was open. Needless to say, I didn't enjoy being there for quite some while after. That was by Georgian. Okay. That's interesting. I don't know. That's a weird story. Oh, thank you, Gigi.
Yeah, Gigi wants claps.
Yep. Dun, dun, dun. Beware the pennies. Thank you.
The poop pennies, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the emoji, the graphic representation of it. Doesn't make it any better, just for the record. And all right, number 15, Powers Unite. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I had a room full of toys. One day my mom said we had to go out, so as usual, I went looking for my favorite toy, a blue Power Ranger. I looked and looked for it in my toys room, but couldn't find it. After a few minutes, I said out loud, "Whoever took my toy, give it back." And my Power Rangers fell from the ceiling right in front of me. It still creeps me out when I think about it. That was by KDU 3142. Yeah, definitely Power Rangers don't usually fall from the ceiling by themselves.
So wouldn't that be an up port as well then?
It was a D port and then a port. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
When the things are taken, it's called a D port, or that's the term people use, and when it reappears, that's an up port. Yeah. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. Ron the Sage is here. That's a new name. And I've... Thanks for coming in, Ron.
I have to put in my poos.
What the hell's wrong with all of us? Why are we all so broken? Why does my show grow? I wonder why. Oh my God. No, I appreciate it.
Ron coined a funny one, Rachel says.
I'll give you the rim shot, Ron. You got the rim shot. Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks for raising.
you guys are doing great. I'm proud of you.
Thanks for raising the sophistication of the show. Oh my God. I said one Amber Heard reference and it all just went downhill. I should know better. I should really know better. Number 16, Frozen in Fear. This might be the last one we read. So it was my second year at university and I was living in a creepy townhouse. It overlooked a giant ravine filled with trees. One night I was watching television in our living room. The TV set was up in front of the living room windows. I was cooking pasta and it fogged up our windows completely. It was negative 20 degrees Celsius, negative 4 Fahrenheit outside. As I was coming back from the kitchen, I sat down and continued watching television. Halfway through my pasta, my eyes looked at the windows, and there was a fresh handprint that had streaked across the window from inside of the house with moisture dripping down. I walked closer since I was skeptical. My fears were realized. Someone or something had just put its hand across the window. I ran out of there in my shorts and t-shirt in the freezing cold to my friend's house. That was by Fongo Bongo. Nice name.
That'll do it.
Fongo Bongo, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm here to tell you, this is about as much as we can put into one episode. Because we're almost out of time. Sheldon, anything in closing before we close the show?
Absolutely. So, if you guys want to join our Discord, it's your best way to stay in contact with us in our community in general. I'll put it right here in the chat. Lots of great discussions, articles, chats. Go ahead and check it out if you're interested.
Nice. Very well done. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here with us. I know it's a fun community, and believe me, I think as long as you guys are having a good time, I'm having a good time. So thank you all very much. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. See you tomorrow night with special guest co-host Mr. Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles on the Portal. See you then, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on TFR and YouTube. Good night, everybody.
Oh.